Cred, Gemini Lend, on down the list. While I told you all not to pick up pennies in freight trains, not to pick up pennies in front of freight trains, not to risk your whole stack for 7%, not to do the opposite of why cryptocurrency was invented and take counterparty risk. It just blew my mind. And then these same idiots are doing the same stuff. Oh, here's another funny thing. Solana, which pumped recently, is being claimed in court by the SEC to be a security in both the Kraken case and the Coinbase case. Pumped anyway. Now, so right now I'm just kind of talking about market things. So 4 years of perfect flawless operation on HEX while everyone else got wrecked. Called the top of the day. Never went over that price. Yay. World's largest free airdrop, worth millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars. Billions of dollars in market cap all over the place. 4 years of perfect flawless operation in HEX. 227 days of perfect flawless operation in PulseChain. Yeah, these things are all going very good. Now, oh yeah, and apparently getting called a security doesn't mean you can't pump, because there you go. Solana pumped. Also, what I think is funny, well, a few things about Solana. It used to be down all the time. And now it has a lot of inflation. So apparently the way Solana works is that they inflate it a lot to subsidize the fees to be cheaper, which then, if the guys that are getting inflation ever decide to sell it, is going to suck. So Solana has very high inflation compared to Bitcoin. Bitcoin has very high inflation compared to Ethereum. And I think Ethereum's inflation is very similar to PulseChain's, but I'd have to look. There's some website that has like a counter. Because basically in Ethereum and PulseChain, they both use EIP 1559. And even though PulseChain has 25% less base inflation, so if the gas usage on both systems was the same, PulseChain would inflate 25% less. But EIP 1559 introduces burning, and burning increases as a result of what percentage of the block space you're using. So they target 30 million gas, and then the fees get a lot higher if you go over half of that. So they're really targeting 15 million gas of the 30 million max. And PulseChain inherited a lot of those parameters. So long story short, because the gas fees are so cheap on Pulse, we might not be pushing into that gas demand as hard. So we might not be burning as much. So there's a chance that PulseChain is inflating a little bit more than Ethereum, but probably, last time I checked, still less than Bitcoin. Yay. We're talking like Bitcoin's at like 1.2% inflation, and like Ethereum's negative 0.18 or something. These are very small percentages. So, but a percentage of a very large market cap is a lot of money. So when you talk about Bitcoin inflating at 1%, 1% of $500 billion is what? What is that? Calc 500 billion times 1.5 over 100. Wow. That's 7.5 billion. That's a lot of money. Wow. Is Bitcoin worth 500 billion? Let's look. Yep. It's 855 billion. Wow. So basically that means that the miners are getting paid billions of dollars a year to dump the price to enrich mining hardware manufacturers and electric companies and harm the environment. Hey, but most of it's renewable. Yeah, but not all of it. So there you go. Still hurting the environment. PulseChain solved this. Also Ethereum solved this, right? You don't need to destroy the environment or enrich electricity companies or enrich mining hardware manufacturers to maintain a consensus network. Period. And funny thing about Bitcoin Consensus Network is it actually sucks. So you guys that like Bitcoin that are watching, screw you guys and screw your bags. I'm going to educate you all. And half you guys sent all of your people to go get yield and things that went bankrupt. Why? Because you can't get yield online. Why? Because Bitcoin sucks. Oh, you want to get into a stable coin? You got on-chain exchange? No. Oh, wrecked. Oh, you want to, have high throughput? I think the throughput is at least 4.5 times higher on PulseChain than Bitcoin, but also how many times cheaper? Let's look here. Gas. 45,000 times cheaper, but it also has more features. And if you just compare like a network that only does sends on Bitcoin versus another network like PulseChain and just pretend it was only doing sends, it'd be a lot more than 4.5. That 4.5 number is based on like the average usage, and the average usage is a lot of complicated stuff like swaps and staking and unstaking and all kinds of stuff. And so if you like took the usage of the network and like equalized it with just sending native tokens back and forth, it would be like maybe 30 times. I can't remember. I did this math once before, like a month ago, but it's significantly more than 4.5 times. So PulseChain versus Bitcoin, better for the environment, lower inflation, better features, more secure, never been hacked, on down the list. It's a superior network. Now, what does Bitcoin have? More liquidity. Why? It's been around for 10 times longer. And it hasn't been gatekept by every possible thing, which is fine. So, at some point, someone is going to, I guess there's some people in Australia already doing it, but like the best time to buy Bitcoin was when everyone thought it was a scam. The best time to buy Bitcoin was when it had the lowest liquidity. The best time when you could buy Bitcoin was when it was almost traded on no exchange anywhere. It was nearly impossible to buy. The only place you could buy it was like Mt. Gox, Magic the Gathering online exchange in Japan. That was the best time to buy Bitcoin. Cool. Well, PulseChain has some of those parameters. It's still very early. This gatekeeping that everyone's doing, it can't get any worse. It can only get better, right? Like the gates can only open. And basically, look, screw these guys, right? HEX went up 10,000 fold before staking profit with the same gatekeeping trash, same garbage. So great. Now the gas fees are even cheaper because PulseChain exists for everybody, right? Like, congrats everybody. Congrats everybody on the Ethereum network that was enriched by the free launch of PulseChain for you guys. So we went over tons of free money by the PulseChain, the world's largest free airdrop, me bragging about calling the top, me telling you that Saylor and all these guys that are holding billions of dollars positions that think they're in profit aren't when you consider the slippage on the exit. And then macro, look, there's a chart. The chart shows that the economy crashes every time they pivot the rates to go lower. Why is it that way? I don't know. That's what the chart says. I think historically the reason it's that way is because they pivot because no one wants to lend anymore, which freezes up the credit markets. And so they start releasing the money, and then there's a lag. And then because the credit markets are frozen, you get a recession and people have to sell, et cetera, all that. That's how it usually goes, apparently. Maybe it will go that way this time too. It's all like, it would be great if the timing were lined up better. So it would be great if the Mt. Gox guys would have got their coins back when Bitcoin was 15K instead of 43K, because those guys are going to sell. Some large portion of those Mt. Gox coin recipients, the billions of dollars worth of them, are going to sell. And the same goes for the trustee for the FTX bankruptcy. Those guys are going to sell. They're going to give back people cash, and they're going to get that cash by dumping crypto. And then you've got other bankruptcies in the works as well. I wish these guys would just sell. I hate it when they get to sell higher instead of lower. I like a clean, tight bottom that you feel good buying, Oh, and also they just approved the Silk Road coin seizure sale. And who knows what they're going to do with the coins it receives from the Bitfinex hacker. These are all billions of dollars. Every one of these things I'm telling you about is billions of dollars. It's a lot of billions, right? So because you can't predict when these idiots are going to do their job and make the creditors whole by doing their job and selling the gosh darn crypto, like, do your job, give the creditors their money, and then when the Band-Aid gets ripped off, and we all go up happily. So basically, from like a timing analysis, if you're just looking at time, Bitcoin was down long enough. Ethereum was down long enough. You can go back up, the halvening soon, all that crap. But if you're looking at more than time, and you're looking at macroeconomics, and you're looking at, has Bitcoin ever existed during a deflationary environment? No, it hasn't. It's only existed during times when they printed money like crazy. M2 still is going down. So it's hard to predict, man. It's hard to predict. So you haven't seen a new all-time high in Bitcoin. You haven't seen a new all-time on Ethereum. You haven't seen a new all-time high in the stock market, or at least the S&P 500. I think the Dow Jones may have made a new all-time high, but I don't watch the Dow Jones. So is this the bull market? It depends on your time frame. If you bought Bitcoin at 15K, 43K probably feels good. If you bought Ethereum at 880 and now it's 2350 or 2250 or 2300, you feel good. If you bought Pulse or PulseX when they were near zero or at zero, you're probably pretty happy with market caps in the billions. It really depends on your time frame. It's just the larger your stack gets, the more careful you have to be, because you can never make it back. If your stack gets large enough, never make it back's not the right way, but statistically, the larger your stack gets, the harder it is to make it back if you lose it. The smaller your stack is, if you get paid $20 an hour and the stack that you have at risk is $20, you've really got at risk an hour, right? You can make back your whole loss in an hour. But if you've got a lifetime worth of stack and it's worth, billions or hundreds of millions, you really can't make a mistake. You cannot, it has to be on point. It has to be right. And you're going to watch a lot of gains and things that are stupid. You're never going to have a shortage of people making insane gains in illiquid things that eventually go to zero. You're never going to have a shortage of that. And you're never going to have a shortage of people buying stupid things. So, what does Dogecoin do? Nothing good. It's a JPEG, basically. It's a bad network with low features that has a JPEG as its claim to fame. I'm not really into the JPEG claim to fame stuff. I don't really like it. Now, have a lot of people made money on it? Yes. Have a lot of people lost money on it? Yes. I feel more wholesome and joyous when there's unique utility behind the thing. So let's talk about, now look, will I probably eventually have some JPEG thing? Yes, probably. Why? Because why not? I could make a better JPEG thing than other people, but I'm still going to tell you I hate it. So I'll make a better JPEG thing than other people, but I'm still going to tell you I hate it. Honesty is what I do. So PulseChain has higher throughput, better security, lower environmental impact to the point of nearly none, is a newer coin with more features, is faster than Bitcoin, but Bitcoin has an $800 billion market cap. PulseChain doesn't. Why? Well, we're new. We're on the way, right? Things will get better, in my opinion. So and for you listening, is that a forward-looking price statement? Nope, not a forward-looking price statement, not financial advice. Why do I say these things? Because there's people that want to screw me up. There's people that want to do harm to me. There's people that want to do harm to you as well. I'm going to tell you more about all that in a moment. So we've got a wonderful network. We've got wonderful features. We've got wonderful airdrop. There's, you can do lending on the PulseChain network. There's projects that let you borrow coins. There's projects that there's stable coins on PulseChain. There's all types of stuff people have launched on PulseChain. I don't know that much about it. You can look into it. People are building new things on the network and launching them. It's cool. I'd love to see fiat on-ramps. I'd love it. One cool thing I saw this community do is that they made a bot, or several bots, I think several teams built bots, that send you free Pulse if you bridge into the network. So it used to be if you bridge into the network, you also had to bridge over some Pulse. So you had to perform a swap and then do an extra bridge to bridge the Pulse over to get native Pulse to transact. Or you could try and get it through a side channel, through an exchange or something, or through a friend. And that would be so basically if you're doing it without the exchange or without the friend, then you would have to do an extra swap and an extra send, which on Ethereum is very expensive, like a bridge is like $12 maybe. And like